Here we have the Tyrote 130 and this is a review. First of all, let's go over the specs. Well, first of all, it comes in this tiny little box. And it's set up ready to fly. All you need is a receiver. I have chosen the Futaba, a small Futaba type receiver, which costs about $20. It's a S-Bus, so it doesn't have a lot of ports, outputs and inputs. Mostly outputs, of course. The specifications, the motors are 4000 kV. The props are 3025. ESCs are 6 amps on 3S. So we use a battery this size, 450 milliamps on here. So the total weight is about 140 grams, so it's very light. And the power is okay. As you can see, it also have rubber standoffs instead of those aluminum standoffs. So they doesn't break that easily, but also it came with a few extras. The screws are not all the way in, and I can't get them all the way in because something is wrong. This is the programming card for the NACE board, which goes in there. This standoff is placed on a stupid position because I can't plug this plug into the port when it's there. So I have to take it on and off every time I'm going to program it. So I didn't put it back on. It came with this tiny little camera, which is quite good actually. It's the best FPV camera I have ever had. I have had a few which they say, oh, they're so good. But this tiny little thing here is better than the best camera, which costs the same as the entire drone quad costs. It's also movable, so if you want to fly fast, you can tilt the camera just by pushing it here. And it has a 300 milliwatt transmitter, 32 channels, and it's in a metal housing, so it should be protected from interference. The stupid thing is that you can't switch the antenna to a clover leaf or something like that because it's directly soldered. So, well, you can dismantle it and perhaps solder on your own antenna, but I am not going to do that. We have tried it a few times, and well, it's okay. We don't need any more range because this is not meant for long range flying anyway. We will see if it can handle flying behind the cabin without dropping without losing video signal. And radio signal for the Futaba receiver. Alright. It also have mounted an alarm, so if you lose the drone or something, it beeps, start to beep when you have not used the radio for a while, and it also works as a battery alarm. It's very handy. It's very fine for a beginner to fly this. It's not that sensitive, not in stable mode or in the other modes, so it's okay for a beginner. So I have it still in a beginner mode, so I will adjust it later to get some more speed on the loops and rolls, etc. But it drifts. So when I have flown this in stable mode for, well, angle mode for a few minutes, it starts to drift, so I have to compensate on the sticks to keep it level, or land and reset the gyros. When I do what you call a punch out, it vibrates a lot, so it makes a lot of noise. perhaps that's because I have taken off this standoff and screws here. So I'll test that later if it vibrates the same. It's not perfectly tuned, so a bit of tuning should be done. I think the P is a bit too high because it oscillates very much when you descend fast.
Det var bra nok, den her.
Okay, so what settings did you change? What settings did you change?
I changed the PIDs, which makes it more stable on the descent. It doesn't oscillate so much. And I have increased the rate because I wanted to loop faster, no, roll faster and flip faster, but it doesn't do that fast enough yet. Yes.
This is a night test with the drone. This watch is not the best. It's not the best for showing off how the camera works because it's probably a lot easier to see in the goggles. Oh, it works nicely. Oh, what? Okay. He's flying it. Oops, again. Oh, what the hell? What?
It seems like this motor is just stopping. I think it's dead.
Okay, more of this later. I have some background video showing off the drone. So far, we cannot recommend this drone. It did seem like a great drone for beginners since it's not the most powerful drone, not so expensive, and by default not very sensitive. But the camera and video transmissions is very good. You can fly into the sunlight and see the ground clearly. I also tested the range outside line of sight, and the transmission from the Immersion receiver or transmitter felt very similar to the transmission from the turret, and I lost signal at the same place. I find that very odd, and we need to test that a bit more later. But if it can't handle more than a few crashes, then that was not even that severe. Honestly, it's useless. Perhaps we were unlucky with this drone, so we will contact Gearbest and see what happens. We will have a conclusion of this drone in part 2. Also, we will have a review of the watch that you've seen a bit of in this video, and also we have bought a DVR that we will also review a bit later. I do hope that you enjoyed this video, or at least that you found it a bit useful. But until next time, fly safe and happy flying!